Endorphins are neuropeptides from the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. They cross the blood-brain barrier and head into the opioid receptors to block pain and create feelings of euphoria. And if anything I said resonates inside your head, then tune on in to the Endorphin Report.
Welcome to the Endorphin Report. I'm Daniel.
I'm Cynthia.
And yeah, we're back on the mics again, talking about another rom-com, and specifically one that Cynthia's seen and I have not, to talk about the endorphins that they bring.
Oh, so fluffy yet so toxic. I have so many feelings.
That's kind of the best kind, right? Where it does give you endorphins, but you also have your conscious mind, the non-endorphin parts, have objections.
I would prefer not to have a conflicting feeling about it, but I mean, you know, it is what it is.
But yeah, you've used up all of the non-conflicting ones.
I did. We used them all up.
What's your ultimate example? What do you go back to over and over?
I don't know if I would go back to, but I'd say ones that I really enjoyed would be like Set It Up was nice, or That Was a Good One. So just like a really solid, good rom-com.
You must have some from like your history, like, Pride and Prejudice. I know this one.
Yep, Pride and Prejudice. I did,
Keira
controversial. I like the Keira Knightley. Just escapism, enjoyment. Yep. Yeah, I just get like happy little feelings from watching these things. Sometimes I'm a bit torn about the other feelings that come across with the movie too.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited to talk about this with you. This is all based on when you used to tell me plot synopses of rom-coms at the breakfast table when we were roommates.
Yep.
And I'm also going to watch the trailer on YouTube.
Yep. I remember once I came down after watching a movie with Diane Lane and Richard Gere. And I was like, these people just had sex during a hurricane. Like literally like broken windows and moving furniture. And they just had sex while they're also shielding themselves from flying objects.
Bits of broken glass.
Yes, he literally would like dived and protected her, and then they start making out and doing it. I mean, ooh, the penetration is really a risk there. Oh, so yeah, I came down and I was like, Daniel, I've seen things.
So you must often be in this position, and I feel that too, where it's like a fight between one side that is enjoying the endorphins and the other side that's like, this makes no sense.
Yes, or I shouldn't feel good about this film because it's got bad things in it too. If there's some unhealthy dynamics, you're like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
Right, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not good for endorphins.
Yes, yeah, unfortunately, this is an example.
And this movie is called The Hating Game from 2021, starring Austin Stowell and Lucy Hale.
And it was a book, and then they made it into a movie.
And so, yeah, we're going to talk about some segments about it, like what happens the next day, like right after the credits roll. Are they going to make it as a couple? Ooh versus ew. Other
Wooing
things like
tactics
that.
Is what we'd say, like, ew, like, ooh.
Yeah, what's above board and what's not above board when they're hitting on each other, that kind of thing. But let's start by talking about the plot. What goes on in this movie, Cynthia?
All right. Well, if you don't know the actors, so we have the characters are Lucy and Joshua, and they're in a publishing house in Manhattan. And she is a short, brown-haired, little short person with red lipstick who loves Smurfs and writes Smurf fan fiction and loves cerebral books. And he is a really stern-looking GQ model who looks like a young Dennis Quaid, who is very, very in shape, who is incredibly OCD about his desk and like color-coded everything. And he wears the same shirts in a row during the week of the same color of the week.
Wow. Oh, let's pause for a sec. Did you say Smurfs fan fiction?
Yes, she does at some point write Smurfs fan fiction. They just throw that in there.
Like erotic Smurfs fan fiction?
They didn't seem to get too erotic, but she definitely was just writing about a Smurfette and Smurf, just going in that. So it's like, okay, that's your thing, but yeah.
Like I could understand some kind of anime thing, but the Smurfs, that's pretty, that goes a little past quirky.
I guess so, yeah.
Into red flag territory.
And she has a bunch of little Smurfs everywhere. And then I think having her do Smurf fan fiction is a little extra.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Lucy. She's quirky. She's dedicated to her job.
Uh-huh.
He is dedicated to his job and very stern Mr. Darcy-like character. And they do this thing where basically they start off where you just see them staring at each other all the time and doing really immature games where they sit across from each other at desks and they'll just mimic each other. They'll do like hardcore staring things. They'll kind of mock each other. They'll kind of do really intense looks at each other, which I like stares.
Mm-hmm.
But this gets a little weird where they just kind of stare really hard at each other and then he'll kind of give her the middle finger and she'll like put on her lipstick staring at him. It's weird. They have a weird dynamic is what we would say.
I've worked in offices for a while and this sounds like an unusual dynamic.
This would not be okay, is what I would say. Like, the way they act would not be okay.
And they're not supposed to be flirting at this point.
No, they are, like, definitely the way they stare is definitely a bit of a flirty, in a way. But also, they also scream at each other about editing decisions and things like that and threaten to shove donuts up the other's orifices. So it's not okay what they're doing in the workplace. And they also make HR complaints about each other a lot.
That's not that cute. HR
no,
complaints?
It's not cute. It's a problem. It is a problem, but they make it seem like it's cute. They make it seem like it's adorable. I tell you, this is fluffy yet toxic film.
Okay, so fun, like bantery, Benedict and Beatrice type.
Very bantery. And sometimes the banter is very entertaining. So that's what kind of saves this film.
Okay,
so,
but this doesn't correspond to anything in reality, right? Like people that you just, unless you're really explicitly flirting.
What do you mean?
Like people that you hate, you have a fighting type relationship at work in a fun way?
You mean like, does it correspond to the way real people would act?
Yes.
No, it does not. She kind of talks about how hating somebody can feel like loving somebody because it gives you these strong emotions in your body. And you're like, it's not healthy. Yeah, so that's how they started out. They're very much like, we hate each other, but we're going to stare sexually constantly and say inappropriate things to each other. And so basically the thing is, she came from a publishing house that was very cerebral. He came from kind of the corporate-y publishing house that does like, trying to get the most money out of books. And they've merged.
Feels like a lot of these are set in publishing companies or magazines.
Yes, don't worry. They have great apartments. Don't worry. Everything's going fine.
Things are great in the publishing industry.
Yeah, they're in Manhattan. They have very nice places. Don't worry.
Maybe because I'm watching Younger and it's also a fantasy publishing situation. It's like, it seems very common.
Yes, yeah. Publishing, architects, those are big rom-com jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, she doesn't like Josh because he is a part of the other company that merged, and he also helped lay off people. And he's also just very type A and aggressive to her. And when she tried to introduce herself in the beginning, she said, "Hi, I'm Lucy. I brought you a plant. They ain't gonna work with you." He just takes it, looks at her, and walks away. So he's kind of a dick to her. And they are both assistants to the main bosses and seem to like be helping the biggest shots of the company and helping run the company. He's kind of like the feared guy that everybody reports to, and she's the people pleaser. They're opposites.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's tall, she's short. They're opposites.
So what can happen? I mean, they can't get together. They're so different.
I know. So what they're doing is they're being unprofessional at work, and then there's this promotion that there will be basically kind of a third-person job that will be basically like a really higher up in the company, like basically help run the company.
Uh-huh.
And they're both vying for it. And they're both basically like, if you get it, I'm going to quit because I can't stand you, and I would never work underneath you.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of a big thing, is that they know throughout this whole thing, they will be vying for this big job.
Mm-hmm.
And then while this is happening, she talks to a very dorky guy who works there, who kind of is like brown, curly hair. He's a really sweet guy, but he does things like, he's kind of just like, check this out, or like, being like, see you on the flip. So he's got some cringe, but he's also a very sweet guy to make you not want to root for him.
Okay.
And his name's Danny, so I can just refer to him as Dorky Danny. So he is a side person. She goes home, has a sex dream about Josh. Dreams that he is hard up against her and touching her, and she's like, oh my God. And the way that she decides to cope with the fact that she had a sex dream about him is to walk into work with red hot heels, a really short black dress, and just strut on in. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. Because of plot. So the way she's going to do it is like, I'm going to look super sexy because I had a sex dream about him. I don't know. Maybe it was the idea of her trying to get power, but she becomes more clumsy and such. She walks in and Josh notices that she's being kind of weird, and he guesses with their professional behavior together. He's like, did you have a sex dream? And she's like, maybe I did. And she acts like she had a sex dream about Danny, dorky Danny. And she says that she's going to go on a date with him. He's kind of like, oh, really? Really? You're going to do it? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, I'm going to go to this bar and I'm going to have a date. And he's like, well, I happen to be at that bar tonight too. And she's like, oh shit, I have to get a real date. She goes to Danny, gets him to cancel his plans that night, and go out with her that night.
This is very elaborate.
But
wait a sec. So he could tell that she had a sex dream by the way she dressed?
She walked in and was being weird. She was acting weird. She was dressed up and she was being very weird and clumsy and kind of off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever she did to prepare that day, it was exactly the wrong thing because it...
Exactly the wrong thing. She could have worn her normal clothes and it would not have been, but she came in hypersexual and he's like, you had something sexual. And then in her professional way, she's like, yeah, I dreamt about this guy all hard up against me. And you're like, no, you don't do this at work. Nope. So yeah, that would have been a legitimate HR complaint. Very legitimate.
Okay, so she has a fake date.
She does have a fake date. Before she goes on her date, she's prepping herself, and she snoops at his desk, at Joshua's desk, and she sees that in his calendar, he has marked X's and D's and like this weird kind of little code along every day, and she's like, weird. Then she goes to the elevator, because he's like, oh, I'll drive you to the bar, since we're both going there. And they get in the elevator, start arguing, talk about how they want to strangle each other. And then he's like, what are we doing? Why are we playing this game? And she's like, what? And he's like, do you really want to strangle me? Like, do you really hate me? And then they start making out hardcore, like hardcore making out.
In the course of one elevator ride.
Yeah, he don't worry, he presses the stop button.
But this all happened in about a minute and a half.
Yes, he pressed the stop button.
30
and
seconds.
They start hardcore making out.
Okay.
And yeah, it is hot. Then they get called on with the elevator that they have to stop. And then they're both acting very weird in the car. And then she goes on the date. And she's with dorky Danny, who, you know what? Danny's just sitting at the bar. He's making a pretzel log cabin, drinking Baileys on the rocks. I like this guy. He's adorable. She talks to him, and he's just like, oh, you're pretty. And then she feels weird because she's like, she talks to Josh after Josh comes to give her her purse. And she's like, he said I'm pretty, and I just feel like he's messing with me. You've messed me up. You're just playing mind games with me. And Josh is kind of like, what do you mean? And Josh is kind of looks confused because he's kissed her and he's feelings, but they're being weird together.
So why don't they date now? Are there any obstacles to her dating Josh?
That she thinks she hates him. She thinks Josh hates her. And she keeps thinking that all of this is to manipulate her. That is the obstacle. She feels everything he is doing that is nice is him manipulating her.
Including with his lips.
This is not very great base for a relationship.
Right.
Not a good foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So then she actually goes on a date with Danny and actually has a fairly good time. So they have a good time. Next day she gets roses that's like, you're beautiful. And she's like having a good time. She sees Josh, who looks kind of all ruffled up, and he does a very sincere apology to her in general, just saying like, I'm sorry about what happened in the elevator. I'm sorry about everything. But when they still try to get along, when she's like, why can't we just get along in peace? He's just like, that's boring. Like, getting along and acting really nice to each other is boring.
Uh-huh.
That's not a good dynamic.
If one person calls it off, it should probably be off.
Yeah, it's just, none of this is a good dynamic. It's just not. You shouldn't mix, like, being peaceful and communicating well with a boring relationship.
Yeah.
It's okay to, like, be getting along and being really cordial to each other. That's okay.
Yeah.
They then go on a company bonding retreat, and they do paintball, which isn't that great to just pound each other with paintballs.
Because they can't pound each other other ways.
Yes. But he's actually on her team, and when they're doing paintball, he actually dives and tries to help her from getting pelted with paintballs. So, and then it turns out she has a fever. She has probably like norovirus or something, and she barfs. And he takes her home, and she starts barfing. And he holds her hair, and he just hangs out with her the whole night and takes care of her, which is pretty brave, because norovirus is hella contagious. Like, half of Boston has norovirus right now. It is so contagious.
Shades of Holiday, right?
Yeah, well, Holiday, the girl shit herself because she took a laxative and candy corn.
Right, but he took care of her in some way.
Yes, he took care of her. So yeah, I mean, a guy taking care of you when you are disgusting in a GI way is sweet. It is sweet. That's nice. She and Josh start talking. They start having stare moments. She's like, I like the way you look at me. They just have moments, stare into each other's eyes, and he looks very nicely at her. So, I mean, this guy is not a total asshole the whole time. He does have sweet moments of looking at Lucy where he looks very tender. So that's what kind of, they're trying to balance out this film.
Okay.
After she wakes up the next day and she's feeling better, she fights with him again after he's cleaned her entire house. And then he leaves. And then she comes to work, sees Danny. She gets asked out by Danny to go out to a date that night. And then she sees a gift from Josh saying, like, feel better. And she realizes the roses were from Josh. So Josh had sent her roses initially that said, you're always beautiful. And she's like, oh my God. So she's got like a, whoa, I need to reassess my feelings about this guy moment.
Uh-huh.
And then she does very mixed messages where she goes and talks to him and says, I want to repay you for what you did for me. I want to go to the wedding with you. And then for some random reason throws him in a closet and says, put your hands all over me. I want to kiss you right now.
Okay.
Very mixed messages.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then he says, no, I will not kiss you until you go out with Danny and you kiss him. And then you tell me if that was better than our kiss.
Okay.
So that's still kind of weird.
That's weird.
That's weird. Just be like, hey, please be with me. I want to be with you. But no, instead he's like, you go out with him and you kiss him and then you tell me if he was kiss. It's just like, dude.
This reminds me of those family circus cartoons where little Billy would walk all over the neighborhood to get from point A to point B. You always know he's going from point A to point B, but he takes this incredibly roundabout route. You know what I'm talking about at all?
I mean, I remember the family circus, but I don't remember the wandering.
Yeah, he would go everywhere, apparently unsupervised.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I did that.
Yeah, yeah. And it was the 1940s or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to have chemistry and want to be together, at least sexually. So all of these are weird obstacles.
These are basically very, very poor communication. If he said, hey, I really like you. I want to be with you. I would really like to date you. This would have all gotten a lot shorter. Also, I think we should acknowledge that it is Christmas around this time, and their office has a 1-foot Christmas tree. It is the most minimal decorations I've ever seen in a film that takes place at Christmas. So
we're not getting back into the Christmas rom-coms.
No, the Christmas rom-coms would have thrown 3/4 of their budget at Christmas decorations around that office. But this office just has 1-foot Christmas tree, and that's it. With some Christmas donuts. That's it.
Okay.
So, she goes out with dorky Danny, and she kisses him, and she doesn't feel much. And then she leaves Danny. I guess probably tells him she's not into him. Poor Danny. And she then shows up in front of Josh's apartment and says, like, you know, nobody kisses me like you. And they start making out in front of the apartment. Then they go into his huge Manhattan loft. We are talking brickwork. We're talking huge living room, huge kitchen, a bedroom that is so large it has its own parlor area for him to put a chessboard with chairs. Huge. This guy is rich, regardless of his publishing job.
He must be, have inherited wealth.
Yes. All his family members are surgeons. So his whole family comes from surgeons, and they must be surgeons that, like, I don't know, work on billionaires or something, because damn. She goes to his place. She's there. She realizes that he reads the types of books she does. They talk more. They learn that he did medical school and he quit after a year. Then they start making out. Then they start talking, and then she's kind of like, let's just have sex and get all this feelings over with and go back to normal. And he looks really hurt. And then they start fighting. And instead of him saying, I actually want to be with you, he's just like, well, blah, 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 and then they start fighting, and then she leaves. So more poor communication.
Uh-huh.
But don't worry, you get to see some biceps and some hot kissing.
Nobody got laid either.
Nobody got laid. They held that off.
Basically, he stopped them from getting laid because he wanted...
Yes. He wanted something more serious, and
Yeah.
she then acted like she only wanted sex. And then when she said, is this about the fact that you're trying to get that job too that we're both going for? He's like, he's just kind of not saying his feelings. And then she leaves thinking that they just shouldn't do this because they're both trying for the same job. So she's doing her own thing. And then Josh comes and says, oh, it's my brother's wedding. We need to go to the wedding. Like, I really need you to go, even if you don't want to. So she goes. They have to stay at a lodge, evidently. They have to share a bedroom, evidently, because there's no extra rooms.
Uh-huh.
Big surprise. And then, randomly, she's putting on lipstick, and they just look at each other, and they start making out, and then they have sex within, 5 seconds of getting into bed. Literally 5 seconds. She must have not had underwear on. She just throws it on in, and they go for it. So, they went from not being able to talk together to just jamming together.
So they're in the same bed?
Yeah, there's only one bed.
Ah.
There's only one room, and he's in a towel, and guess what? He's shredded. And she rips his towel off, and evidently he's very packed there as well. And then, kudos, they have him trim his chest hair, but not wax it.
Okay.
So I was like, at least there's slight amount. Yes, he does have hair.
Just like a light fur.
Yes, he has a light fur. They trimmed it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then they have sex, and then they're actually sweet, and then this will creep you out. She asks about his little calendar, why did you have the X's and D's and whatever? And he says, I mark when you wear a pants or dress or a skirt, and I mark when we fight, and I mark when I want to kiss you.
What? What?
It's really sociopath feeling. It's just oh, and she's like, oh, and you're like, oh.
Good. That would definitely be an HR thing.
It's very icky. But then they're just cuddling and happy, and you're like, okay, you guys.
I mark when we fight, and I mark when what?
When I want to kiss you. And he marks if she wears a dress, pants, or skirts.
So is he trying to make a correlation? I want to kiss you more often when you're wearing a skirt, for science?
No, he just needs to mark this stuff. He's got some OCD tendencies. And she calls him an OCD stalker. Not unreasonable. But she seems to think it's sweet.
I make a mark when I can smell that your period is coming on.
Oh, it's just... So, then they go to his brother's outdoor winter wedding, where she is in a short dress and is sitting outdoors in the snow watching him get married.
Folding metal chairs.
Everybody is it's in a wooden chair. They're all wearing normal wedding clothes with very slight jackets, all watching them get married outside. No problem.
Uh-huh.
And basically, we realize that maybe some of the reason why Josh is so closed down and not acting very nice to people is that his dad treats him like trash. His dad is basically because you didn't become a doctor, you're not worth anything, and you're useless, and my other son is better than you.
Uh-huh.
So they try to create some sympathy for Josh.
It's funny, the part where you start to like Mr. Darcy's when you go back to his estate and see that he's got a great estate and his servants really like him. He's nice to his servants. Now it's when you find out that they had a lot of trauma.
Yeah. And, you did see the equivalent of a Darcy estate
that's true.
in his Manhattan loft. That is a Darcy estate.
Modern day Pemberton.
Yes, it really is. You were like, wait a sec. You have a 2,000... I think I even saw stairs. I think he has a 2,000 square foot loft in Manhattan. This guy is Darcy.
Did his parents buy it for him?
I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, his dad gets drunk, and his dad is basically like, Josh, you're useless. You should have gone to med school. You don't do anything. And then Lucy tells him off. She's like, he's incredible. He's so valuable to the company, and he basically saved it. And you should not treat your son like shit. And then she leaves with him. He drives back with her, And she's like, I just never understood. I just thought you hated me. And he's like, no, I never hated you. And I can show you. And then we're going to stop. And you are going to guess what happens in the rest of the film. They are finally happy together. They are doing well.
We're still 10, 15 minutes from the end?
Oh, yeah, we're like 20 minutes. We're 20 minutes from the end. Yeah, and he's like, I always cared about you. And I can prove it.
Oh, gee.
And yeah, how does it end? How does it end?
He was offered the big job, and he turned it down in favor of her. He thinks she should be the one to get it. Mm-hmm. And she decides that she can't accept that and that it would ruin his career, that it's not right. And so she quits the company and breaks off contact with him. Oh. And then it turns out that the third guy, Danny, ended up getting the job. So they can both just stay at the same level that they are and date again. And there's maybe some kind of run through the park to reunite. That's my prediction.
I think that was a good prediction. I will say that was well done, sir. And you include Danny in there. Thank you. And I'm glad Danny got a nice job. So that's good for Danny. Unfortunately, Danny actually left the company. Sorry to forget to tell you that. Okay. But he's got a good freelancing job.
So you kind of sabotaged my ending.
I really did. I'm sorry. I set you up to fail.
That's all right. That's all right.
So...
Water under the bridge.
Is that how he showed his love? Is because he quit that
he'd
job?
He'd already been offered the job.
Okay.
And he had turned it down because and told them that they should hire her instead.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's how he would prove it, I guess. Yeah. Don't worry. It's creepier.
Creepier than the calendar.
Oh, it is. I mean, we're going to go another level. So this calendar, he just made a little mark here and there. He goes, I'm going to show you how I always cared about you. He brings her into his place. He brings her into his bedroom. And he shows her how her favorite color that she loves to wear, which is the dress she's wearing there, which is like a green, forest green dress. He painted his bedroom that color green because it reminded him of her. Okay. And then he has a painting that is like an abstract painting that reminds him of her eyes.
What?
I mean, and she goes, oh my God. So and I'm like, yes, that's appropriate response. Absolutely like, appropriate.
She's like, oh, this is a stalker.
Yeah, she goes,
that's the conflict.
Oh my God.
Or the crisis, rather.
He just goes, look. Like, we just need to start over. And he basically says, like, I call you your nicknames. Like, I call you Shortcake. He always calls her Shortcake. He's like, because I love you. And she's like, whoa. And he's like, I know you're scared. I know you're worried about this job promotion. But I'm in this, and I'm going to make it work. And he does it very tenderly. So he went from creepy-ass hella sociopath to being very tender. This movie is so conflicting for me.
I would love it if the final twist was that it was all part of the game and she's getting played.
Well, it keeps going. So they cuddle and they're happy. And then she hears him talking to his boss. The boss insinuates that he had told Josh to basically seduce Lucy or such to like hit the job. To basically like psych her out. Yeah, something like that. Something along the lines of like, you know, be super nice to her and then make her think that she's safe, but then get the job. And she's like, what the fuck? So she is pissed off. So don't worry. She's going to go vent to Danny. And Danny will just sit there and be the best buddy and never worry about ever getting laid again. And Josh shows up and he sees her and Danny. And he thinks that she then likes Danny. And she thinks that he's been colluding with his boss. So they act mean to each other again for a period of time. While they try to work on their promotion. So you see them both furiously meeting with people and working on promotion time. And guess what? He is a hot man looking sad, walking through Times Square, and he sees a Smurf dressed up, and he just stops and looks at this Smurf wistfully.
Oh God, I forgot about Smurfs. I would have incorporated it.
You gotta incorporate the Smurfs. So, wouldn't that be cool if she was one big Smurf at her own wedding? just like dressed up in blue, like Smurfette bride.
Right.
Yeah.
Wedding night, she's like, the costume stays on.
You can't take the white pants off, you know, you just have to slit a hole. And then basically they both work on trying to get promoted. She gets a spine at work, so she's not such a people pleaser. And she feels really inspired in kicking his ass at work and trying to get this promotion.
So at least American capitalism wins.
Yes, so she can work hard as hell and try to get this job. Then she shows up and she sees the whole board there. And she sees him, and it looks like he got it. And then he does a whole speech about how this company will be in good hands because she got it. And then he says that he is left to get a new job at HarperCollins. So he basically, you were right, he gave up the job for her.
He nobly gave it up.
So he tells off the boss. She becomes the new head. The boss gets Me Too'd. They make out in front of everybody at work. Continue to be not professional. And still hot, still not okay and not professional.
Uh-huh.
Company gets along well, and then at the end you see them both arguing on the phone, like in a work negotiating way, like in a negotiating publishing way, and meeting up because they've been negotiating with each other on a work thing, and then hang up, and then, you know, kiss and are happy. And for me, it was a relief that he wasn't wearing a suit anymore. He's wearing like a sweater and a blazer, but he's not wearing like a big GQ suit with a Rolex watch anymore. So I was like, at least there's that.
A relief as far as you being attracted to him.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
At the end, she's kind of like, I only want you to fight with me. And then they kiss and walk away happily together. The end.
Okay. So the Smurf thing was just a moment of him remembering her? It didn't play a part in the plot?
No. At the end, there aren't Smurfs, like, cheering in the background or anything.
He doesn't put on a Smurf costume to say
no, that
how much
would have
he
been
cares.
very weird, but entertaining.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you get to watch the trailer now, and you get to see this all in real time, because this is basically everything that happened is in the trailer. I watched it to see if it captures it all, and it does.
All right. What game should we play now? That's also what a serial killer says.
Yeah, it's really true. Yeah. But now you've seen what they look like, and you've also seen the way they interact. So you have a gist, which means you're fully educated and can make full decisions about all of our segments.
All right, so segments, the next day.
Yeah, the next day.
What happens after the credits? So the credit, there's a little bit of a flash forward from what I'm hearing.
Oh, yes, because they show them they're in their new jobs. So I guess they're somehow able to be together for longer than a day without fighting.
Uh-huh.
Because every time they've gotten together today, in this time period, they fight within one day. Whenever they get together, within an hour or like 8 hours, they start fighting again.
Uh-huh.
But here, they evidently can be together for a longer period of time.
And the implication is that they channeled their fighting into their job. And
Yes.
out of their personal life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of getting into will they make it as well.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
Yeah. The big gesture. We know what happens after the big gesture because we see it in the flash forward.
Do you feel like it would be hard for this guy who is hyper clean, clearly adoring of her, but a very hyper scheduled, hyper clean, organized guy, to be with a girl who has a very unclean apartment, who is a people pleaser, which you can tell irks him? Do you think that would balance each other out, or would be completely grating on him after a while? I mean, can you imagine, like, I got annoyed with you leaving cabinets open, and I lived with you, and I would, like, twitch my eye a little bit when I would come in and see, like, the cabinet doors open. This guy, like, has his pens spaced evenly from each other.
Is there any
This could be rough.
indication that he would soften in that respect?
He wore a sweater, so I guess
Sweater?
that's an
Okay.
indication. Yeah.
Is it a spotless sweater?
He had a sweater that looked a little bit more casual, so maybe he's chilled out. Oh, this is a guy who literally, after they have sex and she wakes up and he's not there, he has made his side of the bed.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe he got on some meds for that, and maybe they also have a cleaning person who comes every day. So, yeah.
That reminds me of my spouse, Charlie, talking about dating Swiss Germans who would fold their clothing before sex.
Oh. Yeah, he's
Before
not
sex.
very fun. So that's the thing. He's not a fun guy.
So instead of fun, he's obsessively into her.
He's really obsessively into her, but I mean, their banter can be fun, but he's not very fun. This guy has a scheduled food regimen, has a scheduled exercise regimen, has a very highly organized life, and yeah, he's not a fun guy.
This all sounds like attraction, not compatibility.
I mean, yes, he's got evidently some sex moves. She woohoos multiple times with him, but
You're playing
I'm
too
starting
much
to talk
The
like
Sims.
Sims do now.
So yeah, what kind of long-term compatibility do they have apart from the obsessive interest?
So that's the thing, is I don't honestly know if they could make it, because some of it could be so grating on him. He clearly adores her, but I think her opposite tendencies as him may start to really grate on him if they're always together. So I don't know. I think they would need a couples counseling. I think they would need a couples counselor. Also, he has so many issues about his dad to work out with. He needs a therapist. So let's say with therapy, meds, good communication, they have a shot.
But should they? You know, they're both hot. They work in the same industry. Do you think they should?
He likes the same books as her. So
Okay,
that is promising.
that's something.
That is a promising thing. And he gives her multiple orgasms. That is promising.
Yep, both those things
So-
are promising.
They have a few promising things. Yeah.
Wait, is that... I've always wondered, multiple orgasms, like from penetration alone? Because I know lots of people who can...
Oh, they don't specify. He could have diversified his techniques, so don't worry about that. But she gets really excited about seeing his books. She loves books, and he reads her kind of books. She sees, like, his book selection, and it makes her so happy. And don't worry, he has a little car collection, like a little tiny, like, cars, and she has a little Smurf collection.
Okay.
They both have things, so yeah.
That
so there's
sounds more
potential.
promising. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
My
potential.
first girlfriend said that she wanted to sleep with me when she saw my book collection. So it happens.
On online date sites, sometimes like a guy would write me and he's like, "What's your top 10 bands?" And I'd be like, "I cannot respond to this." Like, they would never write me back. I just no, this isn't my type.
Top 10 bands.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. So cautiously optimistic, but lots of things to work through.
Yes, they need a lot to work through. Yep, definitely.
So yeah, that was Will They Make It? We morphed into that.
Yeah.
So ooh versus ew. I think we're going to have a lot to say here.
Yeah, so wooing tactics.
Yeah. So things that make you say ooh, or things that make you say ew.
Ew. Yeah, like ew is like, hey, you know what? I record when we fight and what kind of clothes you wear every day. And when I think about kissing you and you're like, ugh.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's ew. That is 100% ew.
We're lucky he didn't write down every time he jerked off to her.
Yeah. And he's like, guess what? I painted my entire bedroom to think of you. It's ugh. So ew. Very ew.
I thought for a second you were going to say he had a special secret room that was covered with photos of her.
That is not far off. I mean, he literally lies in bed staring at a painting that reminds him of her eyes.
Right.
Ugh.
I mean, the realistic version would be he's constantly scrolling through her Instagram.
Yes, that would be it. But this guy has enough square footage. He could have that secret room. He could do that.
Right. That's the real flex in Manhattan real estate. Secret room.
This guy has a table. He has enough room in his bedroom to have a chessboard area. We're not talking like in a corner. We're talking its own section.
So that's like if you want to have a quick game of chess after sex?
In his bedroom. Like, you're like, hey, friend, do you want to come into my bedroom and play chess? Don't worry, there's plenty of room in my dining room and my living room to do it, but I put it in my bedroom.
That is weird.
Yes, that is weird.
Okay, is that all of his ew things?
Oh, God, there's probably much more ew. I would say ew is, he literally at one point is like, you'd know if I'd be flirting with you. And you're like, evidently not, because you are acting so passive aggressive to her that she thinks you hate her. So his way of flirting, I guess, in this whole beginning of the film is being very passive aggressive and childlike games. And that is ew. They do this whole mimicking each other. They do this whole like where they literally copy each other's movements and do stares. That's ew. That's just not, like, grow up. Just have a drink. Calm yourself.
Right. There's a level of that could be really fun, you know?
Yes.
Of giving each other a hard time, busting each other's balls.
And they do have some banter where they bust each other's balls. They do. There's many ew in this. Many a ew.
Okay, what about ooh? What do they do that's good?
There is a lot of ooh. So, like, ooh. I mean,
Right.
I thought he was so brave for hanging out with her when she had norovirus and holding her hair, because I mean, my friend has norovirus right now, and she has my parking pass, and I don't even want it back right now. I am, like, terrified to touch that thing. So, yeah, I'm like, wow, this guy, like, he cleaned her place, he held her head, he, like, you know, took care of her. I thought that was sweet. He then sent her something afterwards. He sent her roses that said she's beautiful, but it's because he'd been so toxic to her, she thought that she wasn't. That's weird, so that's ew, but ooh. So yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix.
Cleaning the place is something that could be right on the knife edge, because everybody would like to have their places clean, but it also means he's individually touching all of her objects.
He is, but he looks very lovingly at her Smurfs. He just finds her adorable.
And also, if you did it the wrong way, you could mess somebody up if you clean it.
Yeah.
In a way that's anal retentive.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're like, no, you can't move your sponge from this position. This is your sponge position.
Yeah, I've created a special Smurfs drawer so they can be out of sight.
I've marked exactly where each Smurf should place so that you know exactly where to place it back each time.
Yeah, you see? Right on the knife edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what does she do for him, ooh-wise?
She, I guess, goes to the wedding and tells off his dad. Which
Okay.
you really shouldn't do to another relative. You should not get involved in their family stuff. It's too
No.
much. You shouldn't. Especially at a wedding in front of everybody. You should not do that. So yeah, there's many little small things in this film. So too many to go through every single one. But many different ew and many different ooh. Small things that are, and some of them that are like, ew, as I said, a combo.
Do that sound again.
It was good. It's like, ew. It's fluid.
That was good. It goes back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, that's what this film is. It's a ew. That's what this film is. That is exactly what this film is.
I got such a flash of what you'd be like as a ghost from that.
So, yeah.
That would be the sound you'd be making, plus some chains.
I think you would have to have a steady rhythm if you were haunting someone. You'd have
true.
to just go steady. You can't be so irregular with your rhythm.
You have to practice that. It's important. So next is the story of us. So this is disregarding gender incompatibility, whatnot.
Yes. And you have seen his two characters now, and you have heard about stairs, so you are able to make a decision as well for yourself about these people.
Okay. But yeah, you start.
Oh, God, this guy would drive me crazy. Oh. I'm talking, I could handle one night. One night. And that is it. I could not handle all his, like, I would be like, let's go get ice cream. He'd be like, no, I only have 1 tablespoon of ice cream once a year. And I'd be like, ugh. So, no, I couldn't handle him more than one day. And it would be like meeting him at a bar, but he wouldn't even have alcohol because he can't drink because of his abs. And I couldn't handle this guy. He's not fun. He's not relaxed. We'd have a little bit of banter if we made it to his amazing loft. I didn't have one fun night, and that's it. I can't handle any more of this guy.
Just one chess game and one night.
I don't even want to play chess with him. He'd be too anal retentive. He did drink scotch in it, so he does drink booze, evidently, in this. But yeah, no, I can't handle him.
I feel like your answer for a lot of these movies is, I'd like to have sex with them once.
Like, you're offering me a hot man? All right, I'll take it for one day.
Okay, what about her?
She is a people pleaser who's super perky and hyper into her job. I can't handle that long term either, but I can handle spending more time than with him, I think. But yeah, she is an overly people pleaser, obsessive, but her place is more homey. And yeah, she can rock a black dress and her really rocks that red lipstick. So, I mean, I could handle her for a longer period of time if I was compatible for her gender.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for myself, obviously, I leave cupboard doors open still to this day.
Oh,
so,
this guy could not handle it.
Yeah.
He'd kick you out immediately. He would not let you enter his place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there'd just be a raised eyebrow and like I'd just move things around and he'd immediately get irritated.
You just created Daniel tornadoes in the kitchen. I mean, he would just immediately remove you.
He'd get mad at me for not refolding the towel in the bathroom, the hand towel properly.
Yes. And he couldn't go to your place either because
No.
he'd probably be upset. So he'd be so agitated.
I'm lucky to be married to someone about the same level of messy as I am. So our place kind of fluctuates in big waves of messiness and less messy, depending on when company has been there last.
Yeah, the only hope is if somebody got him really, really blasted, then he could handle having you over for one night.
Yeah.
Like, that he's so drunk that he can barely focus, and things are moving anyways. So, yeah.
That doesn't sound... You're saying basically if he was drugged.
He's just... This guy has an issue,
I don't want
he
that.
needs his pens properly spaced.
I don't think I want that.
He cannot handle an open cabinet door. It's too much.
Yeah. But yeah, just physically, like, if I was going to experiment more extensively, somebody who, as my friend said, you could bounce a quarter off his abs. That would be, that would help to the top of the list. But yeah, he probably also doesn't seem that nice, even in bed. So
he was fairly generous, it sounded like, but I mean, yeah, that's something. The other compatibility issues would not go well.
Yeah. I wouldn't be the one that he has the painting on the wall and yeah, I guess that would be a whole different scenario to be the target of that kind of obsessive interest.
You walk in and there's just like a hanging beard of like straw, and he's just like, I have this straw to remind me of your beard. And you just be like, I stare at it every night. You'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, I put a mark every time you got a beard trim. I mean, that's a classic, like, admiring somebody from afar because it's safe. That's nonsense, that stuff.
Yeah, anybody recording you is very creepy. It's like I secretly recorded your actions and movements. Ugh, it's creepy.
Yeah, so about her, I'm way more optimistic. First of all, she's really, really cute. And she's into some quirky stuff that shows some vulnerability, the Smurfs. And she's into books. Yeah. And has a cool job. So yeah, apart from her weird relationship with her coworker, I don't see any real obstacles there.
I think you'd enjoy reading her fan fiction.
I would.
Yeah, you'd be like, sure. I mean, you'd go with it.
I've definitely read people's fan fiction before, especially if I'm interested in them.
I think this is possible. I think this is a possible relationship.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. She would not mind your cabinets. She would be very cool with it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Time for the Endorphin Report.
Oh, gosh. Oh, there were so many endorphins, even though it was so weird and toxic. I was like, ugh. We had, like, so much. Like, most times they, like, stare at each other. Even when they talk about the creepy ass things, about the little X marks and things like that, he's like looking at her so lovingly, and he like looks at her really tenderly, and then they make out and have weird sex, even though they weren't even on good terms. It's still endorphin-y, and when they make out in the elevator, it's endorphin-y, and when he talks to her and he tries to communicate and he looks hurt, endorphin-y. So it was like so many endorphins, but yet so toxic. It was like, oh.
So what I'm learning is that even though it is contrived and it's toxic and weird, it sets the stage for endorphins, this conflict.
Well, you know what was toxic but not endorphin-y was 50 Shades of Grey. That was just pure on serial killer. Like, the guy just stared hardcore, like, I will murder you. And that didn't work for me. And this worked much better.
Okay.
In comparison.
So you can generate chemistry. It's Much Ado About Nothing. It's Pride and Prejudice. They hate each other.
They had banter. They had a lot of banter, and the banter was entertaining. So while some of it was bad, some of it was entertaining. So the banter was entertaining, and it was fluffy. It was fluffy toxicity. And they did try to show him being tender and sweet, and also try to humanize why he's not so great socially.
So would you recommend it?
I would say if you are working out if you just need something to not turn your brain on and you are okay continuing to have a healthy relationship on the side and this will not influence the way you manage a relationship, that is okay.
Okay.
I don't want people to get ideas from this.
I have to say the main guy kind of looks like the villain in a conventional rom-com.
He does. He looks like he would be like the villain in some of the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the corporate guy.
Right. The guy
Yes.
you dump to get with...
And then the other guy, Danny, is the guy that she would get with in some of these other ones. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if...
I mean, I bet Josh hates Christmas.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
That could be a breaking point.
Yeah.
Where she has all the Smurf Christmas stuff.
Yeah. I mean, she's decorating a tree, and his side is like, her side is adorable with character of her office. His side is just black, sleek, corporate, with like, you know, his separated pens.
Wow, yeah, what happened to Christmas rom-com values? Yeah, you're judged by how much you like Christmas.
Yeah. He would not do well in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But then they would take off his shirt and they'd be like, all is forgiven.
You're going to go ab for ab with Hot Frosty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have to say about this, eh? Unless you have any final remarks.
No, it was, it was, ew, endorphin-y.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And nice hanging out and chatting with you, Cynthia, about this movie.
All right, toodaloo.
Then
Toodaloo.
tune on in for the Endorphin Report.